Hello, welcome to another unboxing. This time it's the CTEK MXS 5.0 battery charger. I've got a very old battery charger and I didn't realise just how much these things would come on. So it's not just an unboxing, I'm going to be showing you on my car battery as well. So let's get on with the unboxing first. So this one 5.0, it's 5 amps. It's only 12 volts. I know some of these you can get in mixed voltages. They do 6 volts as well. But I mean, the majority of things work on 12 volts these days, don't they? Certainly cars. So you get a nice bag with this one as well. You also get where you can permanently attach to the battery and then just use a plug to connect. I think that's what I might be going for when I put my new battery in. Where you've got your normal clamps as well. So you've got various steps through here, including a maintenance. There's one where it actually gets the sulfur off of the plates as well. So I guess it chops the waves up. I mean, it's sort of showing you a bit on the graph here what it does. And you can also leave it so it can put a maintenance charge. Now, I've got my old one, I'll show you it when we go out into the garage. It's just a wire wound transformer, which you can switch to 12 volts or 6 volts high or low. And of course, when you leave those unattended, it'll boil the battery. So just for that alone, it's worth having a change. So I don't use my car every day. And in fact, I've left it for the longest that I've left it in a very long time. I've left it for a month without using it. Now I've got a solar charger on the roof and I thought that would be enough to trickle charge it. It's only 5 watts and it's really sunny at the moment. You know, it's like midsummer here. So I don't know why suddenly the battery's gone. I'm guessing maybe it just has worn out or it's just taking too many dips. Because when I went to start it, there was nothing at all. I mean, the lights on the console lighted up, and perhaps I'll show you that. But there was not enough voltage for the starter motor to go. Not enough at all. And it was annoying because I had to be somewhere, and I couldn't take my car. It's got the things like you use for holding fans on in the computer case with. So I might hang on to them. So they're pretty useful. Okay. So we've got a UK plug and it's fitted with a 13 amp fuse. Okay. Thought it might be a bit high actually. I suppose it's putting out 5 amps. Let's see, warning, blah blah blah. Okay, so it's 220 to 240 volts AC, 0.6 of an amp, 50 to 60 hertz. So yeah, it's only drawing 0.6 of an amp there. So I don't know. I might try it with a 5 amp fuse in. I'll leave it as is for now anyway. I'm surprised how small the unit is. I guess it's all switch mode and, you know, IC technologies and what have you these days. You see my other one, which is nowhere near 5 amps, I don't think. And the difference in size. We'll go in the garage in a minute and I'll show you. So, the lead that it comes fitted with. Let's just do a quick measure. I think that's about 1 meter. And this side. So we'll do that. And that's a good meter. 2.5 meters, I would say, from plug to this point, and then on from there a little bit more. Let's say I'd say you've got about 3 meters from the plug socket to the actual ends to the battery. Now it's got this very nice system where you can join like so, and that's really nice and easy to use. And I'm going to opt for this. Not on the battery I've got at the moment, so I'm actually going to change this battery. I think it's taken far too much sort of downtime over the last few years. So you can put this on your battery permanently and just leave that inside and then just connect it up like that. Okay, and it comes with a bag. I must admit, I was going to go for the Genius one, which was 7 amps and was about £100. And then I was going to get a bag to go with it. Well, this one comes with one already. And this one on Amazon, on UK Amazon, was voted the best. And it had loads and loads of reviews. And some of the others, I looked at there was one that put out 12 amps made by Ring, which had a nice LCD display, but it's got fans on. People are saying it's quite noisy. And there were a few comments saying where mine's blown up, blah, blah, blah. And it sort of makes you think twice. But it's only 5. But this is the one that keeps getting the best reviews. So I've opted to go for this one, just because everyone else gives it. I mean, obviously when you get the reviews, it's people that have actually used it. Strange bag. It feels strange. It's a plastic bag made to look like a soft bag. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the instructions before we go outside. I've been congratulated for buying it. So it has got for bike or for car, and then AGM and recondition. So I think you can push it to, say like it goes to car, for example, and then recondition comes on as well if you push it again. So that once it's charged up, it can then put a reconditioning charge in. That's the option there. Yeah, follow the 8-step display through the charging process. The battery is ready to start the engine when step 4 is lit. The battery is fully charged when step 7 is lit. So it's actually got a battery symbol there, and the others are circles. It tells you what the programs are and the sort of temperature ranges. So it's up to 50. I have to watch that because it does get pretty hot in my garage because I've got a clear corrugated plastic roof on there. So I think it must be around 50. It's 25 in here at the moment. Well, not that I'm moaning, it's lovely. So there's an error lamp as well. If you put the polarity around the wrong way, or is the charging being interrupted and you have to restart? Oh, I see. Or it may be that the battery can't be saved. Now I reckon that my battery can't be saved out there. It's quite a few years old, and as I say, I don't use the car every day. I probably use it once or twice a month these days, really. And it's just sitting there with a solar panel, tiny solar panel, just trickle charging it, and I thought that'd be enough. But it has been enough for years. But I normally leave it sort of 1 or 2 weeks before I start it. This time I've left it a whole month. So I don't know if it's that, or even if the charger has broken and it's reverse discharging overnight or something like that. This is quite interesting though, this desulfation. Detects sulfated batteries, pulsing current and voltage, removes sulfide from the lead plates of the battery, restoring the battery capacities. So it can actually bring an old battery back. So you need to connect it there. And that's about it. I mean, basically, I think why a lot of people have gone for this one is it's really nice and simple and easy. You haven't got to select different voltages or anything. All you've got to do is select whether it's a car or a bike, whether it's one of these AGM batteries, and if you want it reconditioned. And then other than that, you've got the stages that light up. If there's a problem up here, and I guess this is power on. So it's nice and simple and easy to use. Okay, so we're going to go out into the garage now. I'm going to show you what I've got and what charger I was using, or chargers, and then we're going to put this on and see if it can save my battery. Right, so here's my garage roof. This is why I have been using this solar panel. Now it's fairly big, but it only gives about 5 watts out, something like that. And that runs through to the car. The other one's for a small light in the garage. So you see the wire comes along. Quite a long wire, right the way along, and it comes in, and it normally just trickle charges the battery like that. So the first thing I thought is, oh, maybe it's broke. So let's test it, just to prove that we do have some current coming in. I see it's the evening now, so it's not getting direct sun on the panel. Let's see if we can light up an LED. Yes, we can. it wouldn't light up a filament bulb. I just tried a 5-watt filament bulb and it wouldn't light that. So yeah, that is coming out. It's quite light in here, so hopefully you can see that there is enough current there to light up an LED bulb. I think that's probably rated, although they say their goodness knows how many watts. I expect it's only about, I don't know, 3 or 4 watts maybe. But you know, that's enough for a service charge into the battery. Little trickle charge to keep it topped up. So I was going to get rid of it, but I don't think it's the solar panel that's at fault. I think the battery's just come to the end of its life. This is my Renault Sport Clio 182. Had it from new for 14 years. Now, when I went to start it the other day, it was completely and utterly dead. Now I put my charger onto it, not the solar one, my other charger. But looking at the voltage there, it's only showing 8 volts. That's probably not enough to turn the start. Let's give it a go. Put the clutch in, so it's an easier load. No, it is not having it. And you can, I don't know if you can see there, but the clock's gone back to 0. But it's still holding that. Oh, it's gone up to 11 volts now. That should be enough. No, it's not. So I'm guessing this battery's come to the end of its life. Now, the battery charger, that one I just bought, costs as much as a new battery. So I have ordered a new battery. I'm just wondering if this one will come back. Well, this would be a good test for it, because I think this battery's had it. Let me show you my old charger as well, by the way. Oh, where is it? Oh, there it is. So, for many, many years, and I mean many years, I bet you haven't seen one like that for a long time. That was my charger. So you could, I should take it outside where it's a bit more sunny. So this is my standard charger, just a big transformer. It's got a low and a high, and if you put it on the high, it thermally cuts out constantly, so you can't keep that for very long. And it's got a 6 and a 12 volt. Well, I put it on for a couple of hours, and that's what gave me that little bit of charge that's in there now. But I think it's time to say goodbye to this charger and try something completely new. I mean, I've had this, goodness me, 30 years? I haven't had to use it very often, but the trouble is, like I'm saying, if you leave this one on, the max isn't really very good, so it keeps firmly cutting out sort of every minute or so. And if you leave it connected, then it'll just carry on until it boils the battery. So, time for some new tech. Okay, so the first thing to do is connect the terminals. And I should point out also that this connector here, it will only go one way round because of this bit clicking in. Like you can't accidentally put it out of polarity once you've connected these ends. This one will always be the right way round. Obviously black to black, red to red. And this is another thing I'm not used to, is connecting it in situ, because I've always thought that you had to take the battery out to do this sort of thing. Let's see if we get a nice connection there. Or better on that. Yeah, it's better on that. Yeah. Okay. So I think the annoying thing really is that the lead on this end isn't a bit longer. I mean, I say it's a metre or so. This is where it could have done with being a bit longer. I'm quite lucky that I've got my power just up here. So for me it's alright. You may find that you have to use a extension. There we go. On. Let's see if I can get this round the right way. Not really. Oh, there we go. So we've got to select the mode. So car and recondition. So it's gone past the desulfuring onto 3. We haven't got an exclamation mark come up or anything like that. Onto 4. Okay, well, I will leave it now, charging away, and then I'll come back in a few hours and see how we're getting on. So it's just over 24 hours later on. And okay, it's not right the way up to the service charge, but it's certainly saying that the battery's alright and can be started now. I did come in a few hours after I set it up and it had moved up a couple. And I did put it back again to see if it would jump straight back up, and it did. I also did it a few hours back and it stayed on 4 for quite some time. So, well, according to this, everything it can't do the maintenance charge yet. It makes me wonder, is it holding the entire charge, or is it just continually trying to top it up and it can't quite take the whole charge? It's quite cool now. Well, it's warm, but when it was on one of these, number 4, it got quite warm. So be aware of that. You know, perhaps not put it on plastic parts, perhaps put it on a metal part when you're leaving it unattended. Anyway, so let's disconnect that now. There's no sound of any bubbling from the battery. Just have a quick listen. No, sounds fairly quiet. So let's see if the car will now start. So this time, once again, it's still only showing 8 volts on there. But the voltage on its own doesn't necessarily mean it's going to start. You also need some amperage. So if some of the cells have gone, you might still get a reading of 12 volts. Well, it's just starting to rise a bit now. But it still might not start because some of the cells are broken down in the battery. Anyway, let's see. So I'm holding it now. No. So in this case, I was right then. The battery has gone. The cells are broken down. And I'm just trying to think how old the battery is. I mean, I've had this car, as I say, just over 14 years. I'm trying to think if I had 2 or 3 batteries over that time. Well, let's say it's 2, so it's at least 7 years old then, the battery, which I think's about right. So new batteries arrived today, so I'm going to pop that in now. That was loose. That was very, very loose. So I've decided on this brand of battery. Never heard of them. Yuasa. But the thing when you're looking for batteries is when you're worrying if it will fit your car or not. That's the thing. HCB063. 63 is the magic number. You see here it's different here, but it still says 063. So 063. That's the size of the battery. It's about the same. This one's classed as 4-year. 440 amps starting power, and this one's 12 volt 50 amps 480 starting power, so maybe just a touch more. But it's got this novel feature here. I'll show you a bit closer. Oh goodness, that's heavy. It's got a little light in there, so when it's green it means it's okay. It can tell you when it needs a recharge and when it needs to be replaced. That's unusual. Well, maybe it's commonplace now, I don't know. Anyway, there we are. So that's what I've opted to replace it with. I hope when I've done this it will just start straight up. But I did notice something. The positive terminal was very, very loose. So I'm going to make sure that's nice and tight this time. That piece of plastic underneath it was stopping it going right down and making a good connection. So as long as I hold that on with something, I think we'll be alright. I've forgotten to fit this, so I'm just going to have to undo it all. I'll start with this one first, might be easier. Right, so positive, negative, nice and secure. Better without that underneath it, because I nearly pulled that off. That was loose actually, and that little bit of space underneath there was making that quite loose, so I'm going to secure this down some other way. So I've taken off the bottom bit of plastic that was there. I'm not going to need to access that terminal so often because I've got this one to charge, so hopefully this can stay in situ now for maybe another 7 years or however long it lasts, but I'm going to be keeping my eye on the charging, of course. Not sure if I'm going to be using the trickle charger anymore. Oh, of course, that's in the way now. Anyway, there we are. So that's the finished battery in place, and let's hope it is the battery, because if not, that was a very expensive mistake. After having the battery on charge all night, it didn't go right the way up to the end on that meter, although it said it was all right to start. Last little check. Everything looks good there. God, I hope it starts. Oh. Right. Moment of truth. And we've got 12 volts showing, 12.2. And some of these warning lights have gone off this time. The service light's not on and the beep's not going on. Nice clean start. Smooth sounding. I think that's made a difference. Sounds a little bit smoother. And just to check the alternator's running, there we are, we're just going over voltage now, so I guess that helps me to keep an eye on things as well, having that there. Quite nice, this little unit. It's 2 USBs and it's also an emergency glass shatter as well. Got that on Amazon as well. That's a nice little unit. Okay, so there we are. It was the battery, even though it said it was alright to start on the other one. I think there's just too many cells broken down, so okay, just a little note to finish off. I've run the car for about 10 minutes just to get the oil circulating, because I haven't used it for a while. So I decided that I'd put the new battery onto charge, see what happens. And at the moment, it's on number 3. So that means there is some charge for it to put in. Mind you, don't know how long these batteries are in storage until you get them. So there we are, so everything's working nicely. So I'll leave that on all night. This is on recondition as well. If anything untoward happens, I'll put it in the comments and pin it to the top or in the description, but I think everything's alright now. Certainly was a lot smoother sound in the engine than it has been lately, so I guess the battery's gradually been breaking down. So there we are, that was a review of the CTEK car charger. Also turned out to be a battery change as well. I hope some of this may have been helpful to you. Thanks for watching, see you next time.